Our nation's railroads help to make sure that we get our electricity, our water, our food, and our medicine. But what happens if the trains grind to a halt on the tracks? A looming railroad worker strike could have major implications for our supply chain, with up to $2 billion a day in lost economic output. Joining us now for more is the CEO of the Association for Supply Chain Management, Abe Eshkenazi. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir. Before we get into the particulars of the possible strike, put this in perspective for us. How vital are our railroad tracks to our supply chain?
You're talking among the most vital activities within the logistics and transportation. By any measure, 30 to 40% of our goods are moved by rail. So we're talking a significant amount of movement of goods and services, from raw materials to finished goods. At almost every aspect of the supply chain relies on the rails, from the ports to our consumers and to the warehouses. This is a vital link in our logistics and warehousing system.
President Biden was briefed on the situation this morning. What do the railroad workers want in this case, and can this strike be averted?
I think the hope from every perspective is that we are able to reach an agreement. I think there's been some discussion about some legislative action. If we don't see an agreement, I think the impact that it's having on the workers, obviously there are significant issues that they have, not only in terms of their hours of work, but away from home and their work conditions. There obviously are a number of issues that need to be addressed. But the criticality of the logistics and the rail system can't be underestimated if we do have a work stoppage or any disruption.
Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh cut his Europe trip short to try and stave off this strike. What's the worst case scenario for our supply chain if this does go forward?
Well, you're talking significant detrimental effects. We're already facing a number of shortages. We've got congestion at the ports. You've got trucking issue. We have warehouse capacity issues. Our demand and our supply are not balanced right now. So adding a rail disruption is going to impact everything from the raw materials to the manufacturing and obviously to the consumer and the availability of goods down the stream here. This is a global supply chain. Any disruption, as we've seen in the past, is going to have a collateral effect, whether we're talking about the weather-related issues or the conflict in UK. We're seeing collateral impact from these disruptions on almost every aspect of the supply chain. Obviously, we're seeing it in inflationary costs as well as labor issues, trying to find workers as well.
And Amtrak has already canceled some long-distance routes, and companies have moved to suspend hazardous shipments in case they get stranded mid-route. Is our supply chain going to take a hit now, regardless of whether or not there's actually a strike?
Well, we're already seeing companies take some action to mitigate risk. Obviously, there is a challenge that supply chain professionals need to address, and that's a forthcoming disruption from the rails. So unfortunately, there are very few alternatives to the rail volume and the costs that are associated with it. So there really aren't a whole lot of alternative transportation modes that we can rely on. The disruption on the rails is going to have a dramatic effect on almost every aspect of our economy.
And I understand that Congress has the ability to step in if a strike does happen. Do you think that the government ultimately will have to get involved?
I don't see how it doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. Number one, our economy depends on an efficient rail and logistics, and we can't do it without it. That's first. Secondly, we're coming into the November elections. I don't think that anybody in the legislature wants to address a rail stoppage or a work stoppage right now if we can avert it. Obviously, we're already dealing with a lot of impact from the pandemic and a lot of the disruptions in our supply chain, whether from China shutdown or weather-related issues. I'm not sure that we're prepared for a significant disruption in our rail systems. Supply chain professionals need and work with accurate data and reliable systems. Removing this mode or modality of transportation, it would have significant and detrimental effects to almost every aspect of our supply chain.
Abe Eshkenazi, so appreciate your time tonight and really kind of helping us understand all this, breaking it down for us.
Thank you, Linsey.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.